Resident Alien Season 2, Episode 6. We're close to the end. We're getting there. It's been a weird season. I haven't loved every episode. This one did some cool stuff. I don't know, there's just something about this season that has missed the mark a little bit more than the first one. Maybe the budget's lower? And maybe it all went to this one because we're in a different location for like half this episode. Which I get brings some money away from the other stuff. I don't know, like this episode, I get why it's here. It's an important episode. It does a lot of interesting stuff. Part of it's cool. There's another part where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I know what's going on here. I'm positive on it. I do like it. I think it's fine. I don't know. I'm feeling the weight of this season, and I haven't really looked at anything yet. I don't know if this show has got renewed or if it's going to be canceled after this season. I'm just going to put it this way. I won't be surprised with either outcome. Either it gets renewed, I get it. It gets canceled, I get it. You know? And that kind of sucks, but that's where we are. That's the show. I get it. So this episode, Harry and Asta are going to go to New York for a bit. And it's pretty fun. It's just like a fish out of water situation. There's so much noise and people around that Harry feels overwhelmed. He gets some cool pie and pizza, and he has a good moment there. It's fun to see Alan Tudyk again just delivering the best performance of his career. Just this really just perfect, interesting guy, you know? He does so much good facial expressions in this episode. There's like one scene in particular that I just love that we'll get to in a bit here, because it just shows you how good he is as an actor and how not everybody could do this role. So they're in New York. They're trying to find Goliath, who's this artist, who's this recluse artist that does all these paintings that connect to Harry's home world. It's like a signal like, hey, I know you're here. Come find me. It leads you to like the snooty art scene of New York. Which, of course, what else would you do? You're doing art in New York. You're going to get the certain variety of characters that are portrayed on screen. It happens. It works. You meet this interesting woman who kind of like runs the art gallery, and we don't really like get into it, but she really instantly just figures out that Harry's the alien because of how he acts. I don't know anything about that character. I'm going to assume just by this episode alone that she is to Goliath what Asta is to Harry. She is essentially the muse, you know? Like, Julia Fox is Joss Safdie's muse in Uncut Gems. Like, that's the muse, right? That's who she is. I get it. Like, it works. It makes sense to me if there's another male alien here, he's going to be connected to a woman in that variety of things. Harry is a doctor. The person that Goliath took over was an artist. You portray the art that way. Makes sense to me. I don't have any problems with that. I think that's kind of cool. There's some great stuff I do want to get into this episode, but before that, we do have to take a little bit of just an in memoriam section because we lost a main cast member today. You know who died in this episode? There was a big death, a major death for a key player. 42 passed away. What happened? A dog killed him. Just the dog ripped him out of his tank and started to eat him, and it just turned into this really tragic scene where Alan Tudyk's delivering a great performance, literally crying in the arms of this octopus. It is insane. The puppetry just like to get like the tentacle, like wipe away the tear. So good. That was so funny to see. And it culminates into a great moment where Harry is crying and eating the octopus like, hey, this doesn't taste too bad. That's the best performance of Alan Tudyk in this episode. Just sitting there, tears running down his face, broken heart. He had to like kill he essentially ate his cousin, but his cousin tasted good. Very interesting episode, very interesting moment, and I'm just like, okay, this was a weird way to throw in here. I feel like we had to pad for time, and we had nothing else to do with 42, so the dog killed him. You know, Sahar got her dog back. Harry doesn't have his ball. Like, okay, it's funny. I don't know. It's cool. It led to some great scenes. I just love like the montage of like the romanticization of Harry and 42. That's like the flashback scenes. That was very funny. It's a great moment for Alan Tudyk. But I'm like, what a weird choice for this episode to have that be like in the middle of it. Like it didn't add anything or really do anything. I was like, okay, that's kind of fun, I guess. Harry also dropped some LSD in this episode, which is cool. It leads to a great moment where he's running through the streets of New York, turning into the alien, starting to freak out. That's great. It looked great. That's the kind of stuff where I'm like, yeah, that's what you should do. That makes sense to me. Like, that's the stuff you should play with and explore because that is a really fun thing to do. And it's having Asta kind of like take control of the situation because she's also here for another reason, like the Golden Powell, which is like this organization that the previous Harry and Sam were connected to, and it looks like that Harry was hired to kill Sam, and he's got like a, trunk of cash just floating around in the house, and there's some shady shit going on there. I'm sure it's connected to the alien stuff. It has to be, because I don't know why you'd throw in like the subplot where like Harry and Sam were doing something shady unless it's connected to the main plot. Like, it has to be connected to the main plot, or like, what's the point of any of this? I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. It gives Asta something else to do because she's still got the intrinsic connection to Sam. I get it. It works fine. The side stories in this episode, too, I really liked them. We do get kind of like the resolution for the sheriff and deputy stuff. So Mike and Liv finally have like their big confrontation. And you're giving Corey Reynolds something to do. Man's an actor. He did really good. I just watched something. What the hell did I just watch that he appeared in? It was a new movie, maybe? I can't remember. Was it Severance? I don't know. I just saw him like, this guy's getting around good. I want him to work more. I like him. Great moment here where he actually breaks down talking about his friend. I liked it. Like, that was such a powerful thing to see him just like have that just have that moment. It was necessary. It was needed. It worked really well. And he's just talking about like, he died, and if something happened to you, I don't think I could live with myself. We needed that resolution. It had to come eventually. You knew it was going to come eventually. It needed to happen sooner or later, because I don't think the tensions are working. We don't resolve the stuff with Liv trying to investigate the aliens too much, but we'll get there. She's going to find the truth. I know she is. Why else would we have the plot if she didn't, So that's cool. That's fun. Ben and Darcy also get a lot to do here. They've been teasing them hooking up again. I'm glad they didn't. I'm really glad that Ben and Darcy did not hook up. Now it's just like two old friends coming together and having a good hangout. Ben wants to maybe steal this resort idea away from Jessup and bring it to Patience. Is it going to work? Maybe it will, because I guess Patience and Jessup are similar in size and area location where this resort could be built there. He needs to get some pictures. Darcy's the only one that can operate the ATV to take them out there. Leads them to having like a nice little moment on top of a mountain where things aren't good at home for Ben. And I'm like, okay, this feels like it's coming out of nowhere. Ben has been submissive for a lot of this. In his relationship with Kate, he's been submissive. I hoped it would be portrayed okay, where it's like, hey, we're not going to force the Darcy and Ben thing, and we didn't, so I like that. I'm like, Ben's really much of a cuck here. He's like, can't do anything for his wife. He can't be himself around her. It leads to another weird fart joke. There was a fart joke in the last episode. I didn't like it. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm not Max, I guess. It's not that funny to me. But I'm just like, oh, come on, man. Like, this is what we're doing here. You're going to put up a live, laugh, love sign because your wife won't let you, and you're going to do that with Darcy now, and you guys are going to smoke a joint. It's easy, but I'm like, okay, I get it. I know why this is in the episode. I know why this would be part of the story. It's okay in that aspect, but I just think the chemistry between these guys is there. I love the scene when Darcy is singing karaoke on the bar. My God, that was fun. Darcy's another great character. I say this every episode. I have to reiterate it again, too. You wouldn't get a character like Darcy 20 years ago. You wouldn't get a character like Darcy even 10 years ago. I think the closest example you'd get to somebody like Darcy from the 2000s to the 90s would be Roz from Frasier, where it's like a confident in their sexuality and their appearance in the world, but still Roz was just used for kind of like the joke and the one note at times instead of being a fully fleshed out character all the time. Darcy, you're given a lot to do. I think that's really cool. I think that works surprisingly well, and I do like it. The Harry stuff in New York, it's funny. It's fun. It works really well. It makes for a lot of good moments. Harry kind of gets like accused by one of these guys working for Golden Powell, and you're like, okay, how's this thing going to play out? It goes to some funny jokes. It works well, but the majority of the stuff here is just the art critic things, and it's cool. It's fun. Seeing Harry tripping on LSD is always fun too. That led for some good moments. I like seeing the paintings jump out of him. Like, that's a good effect. I think that worked really well. It looked really natural. It worked really good for what this world's trying to set up. Everything about this episode knew exactly where it was going. And it feels like we're finally coming to a conclusion. You know, one of the ladies working for Linda Hamilton shows up, and she's in like the pizzeria that they were at earlier. Everything's coming full circle. Now, we didn't see Goliath in this episode. We saw his Asta. I wonder if we're going to get a big name actor for this. I would have said Nathan Fillion if he wasn't 42 would be, Goliath, but I think who's another like classic-y Alan Tudyk guy that could appear in that role. Sean Astin, maybe? I could see that being one of those guys that shows up in there. Maybe we'll go in a completely different direction. Who's to say? But I think there's some good stuff. Cliche stuff, sure. Boring New York stuff, kind of. But Alan Tudyk makes it work. He gives a great performance, and everybody has a good side story that goes to the resolution they need in this late in the season. This is the resolution you need. And I think it works pretty well. It goes to some interesting places, and it's a strong episode just to show you that Resident Alien still got it. If it doesn't get any more, again, not surprised. But we're getting our conflict resolved. So, it works for me. Simple episode of a simple story. I liked what we got, though. I'm excited to see the next 2 episodes and where those go to. But, if we don't get more, don't be surprised. So that's going to do it for this review of Resident Alien. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.